All right, let's dive into some of the biggest bets and some of the odds for Thursday night's NFL draft with our betting analyst for the Post, Erich Richter. But I'm going to call him Erich Richer because he can make you richer if you listen to him with some of these bets and odds. What's going on, my man?
Oh, what's up, BL? How we doing? Looking fresh as always, my guy.
Appreciate it. All right, let's get into this because obviously all of New York it has eyes on what the Giants are going to do with that third pick. What bets do you have for us, my man?
So, at this point in the draft process, you'd have to really look for a surprise if you don't think that Abdul Carter is going to go number three. Most people are saying that Shador Sanders is not in the picture at number three. He's not graded in the top 10 by most experts' opinions. So basically, the way that you're looking to bet on the draft is you're looking to follow the best reporting out there. You're looking at the Peter Schrager's, you're looking at the Charlie Campbell from Walter Football, Daniel Jeremiah, Albert Breer. So from my perspective, you have, Abdul Carter's the number two prospect, according to Daniel Jeremiah, former executive with the Eagles, longtime NFL guy. So for me, it looks like Abdul Carter is going to be the pick. That's not a hot take. He's minus 650 on DraftKings to go number three overall. That's where I have it right now. I have my betters mock draft coming out over here on Thursday. So, for me, I'm going to have Abdul Carter number three, barring a trade up here within the next 24 hours. It looks like the top of the draft is going to go Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. It's going to be chalk here at the top three, but no problems there. We're looking to test some other spots further down the board, but Abdul Carter number three to the Giants seems like a lock.
I'm an Abdul Carter guy because I feel like pass rush will get you paid. Generational athlete. I know they throw that around a little bit way too much these days, but the way that dude does the three Bs, bend, burst, and break coming off that edge. You add him into a defensive line that already has Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns. I think we're talking about, or we can compare that to the Eagles defensive line that won that Super Bowl a couple years ago. The Jets have the seventh pick. Give us a JETSBET, please.
So for me, the draft starts at number four. I have no idea what the Patriots are going to do at number four with Will Campbell, fellow AFC East team, and then it really is a mystery from that point on. Now, when you're looking at the Jets, you could go a lot of different directions. Now, for me, they hired a defensive coach, right, and that tells me that they are looking to build that defense up to the point where it was 2 years ago. Last year was a down year for that defense. Sauce Gardner wasn't the player that he was last year. For me, I see them going defense here. And I think that a great pick here is Mason Graham, formerly expected to go in the top five, falling in the draft pretty dramatically here, according to Peter Schrager, who has him going all the way down to 15 in the draft. So Mason Graham, Michigan defensive tackle, he's again the third best or fourth best prospect according to Daniel Jeremiah. There's a lot of positives here for Mason Graham. I think the Jets are going to look defense. There's not a whole lot of secondary options. Otherwise, I'd say that they could totally go for a Will Johnson or someone like that. But I don't see that here. I think Mason Graham falling to seven is actually a good look for them. So yeah, for me, I'm going to go Mason Graham over 5.5 draft slot. If he falls past the Raiders at six, you win the bet. And I got Mason Graham minus 310. Again, you're putting a little juice onto that, but give me Mason Graham to the Jets. I think that they continue to build that defensive line, which was a problem last year. When Jeremiah Johnson got injured, tore his ACL.
Yep.
That was a huge problem for them. So.
Yeah, and if you look at recent videos of him, that freak looks like he's going to be back to 100%. You add a Mason Graham to that defensive line, and that fits right into Aaron Glenn's MO, as you said. He loves to pressure the quarterback and play man-to-man coverage behind it. It's going to be a big year for Sauce Gardner, who's trying to get paid, or at least get paid like one of the top corners in the NFL. If you got a pass rush that can get after a quarterback, wreck the decision maker, Sauce doesn't have to stay in coverage for 4, 5, 6 seconds against some of the elite receivers in the NFL. Let's talk quarterbacks, man, because all we hear is quarterback. That's all we've been hearing is quarterbacks. 6 quarterbacks were taken in the first round last year. They're saying that this isn't as strong as a quarterback draft class as last year. So what's the over-under on quarterbacks taken in this year's first round?
So we're looking at when we're looking at the quarterback class, excuse me. You're looking at, Cam Ward's going to go number one, and then you have no idea, right? Shador Sanders, everybody's iffy on Shador Sanders. Nobody really has a firm opinion. It could be disinformation, which is something you have to take into account
Yep.
when it comes to thinking on the draft. Could be a ton of disinformation. Maybe the Steelers just want him to fall to 21, and they've been leaking, that he had a bad private workout and a bad interview, and that he's arrogant, whatever. So you have to take that into account. The over/under of quarterbacks is 2.5 at -110. You get that pretty much anywhere. So basically, you're looking at is someone going to trade back into the first round for a Shador and for a Jackson Dart, etc. So when it comes to this prop, I'm actually looking at the over 2.5. Peter Schrager has Jackson Dart going to the Giants, trading with the Rams in the mid 20s for the Ole Miss quarterback. I like that look. I think that Jackson Dart is, a lot of people have said that Jackson Dart has fans in the first round. The New Orleans Saints being one of them. At one point, Mel Kiper had Jackson Dart going number 9 overall to the New Orleans Saints. That's no longer the case at most places, but that's what we're looking at for quarterbacks. Over 2.5 is the play, and yeah, I feel confident about that. I think that we're going to be looking at quarterbacks here in a big way
Yeah.
coming up
Yeah.
all throughout Thursday. It's really going to be a story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you said over 2.5 because something that was pretty intriguing to me was they showed who was going to show up out to Green Bay. Jalen Milroe is going to show up to the draft. So either he and his camp know something everyone else doesn't know, but that could be that third quarterback that's taken in the first round. And then that's going to put some money in some people's pockets if they go with the over. I'm going to switch to talk about running backs before we talk about Shador Sanders. No running backs were taken in the first round last year. Then Saquon Barkley, with the season he had, just single-handedly made being a running back great again. Ashton Genty headlines a deep running back class. He's supposed to go within the first 10. What's the over/under on running backs selected in the first round this year?
So this is actually one of my favorite bets on the entire draft board. Over 2.5 running backs is plus 200. You can get that on Caesars, you get that on Bet365, get that pretty much anywhere.
Okay.
Great bet, great bet. I mean, you have Jonte, who's pretty much locked in here in the top 6. It seems like he's going to be with the Raiders or the Jaguars. Schrager had mentioned that there could have been some disinformation being posted about the Raiders that they want the Jaguars to take Jonte at 5. But no matter how you shake it with this bet, he's going in the top 10. So for me, I'm looking at, you got Jonte, you got Omari Hampton. And how about Trayvon Henderson from Ohio State? He's awesome. And Trayvon Henderson, he met with the Chiefs already, who are drafting 31. Yeah, I think 4 running backs could be selected here. Everybody talks about how this draft's kind of met in terms of like the elite talent, but the running backs are loaded in this draft. And like you said, Brandon, you're talking about running backs that are really, really popular right now. Like teams are really loading up on running backs, getting big time running backs. Derrick Henry got traded to the Ravens. You obviously got Barkley with the Eagles, and they won the Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm gonna go over 2.5. I think Trayvon Henderson's awesome. I think there could be 4 running backs drafted. There's so many running backs I like in this draft. I think over 2.5 at plus 200 is a gift. It's one of my favorite bets in the draft, and I definitely think that'll make you some money.
See, I'm going to have to take the under on this one then because I feel like they're so deep in this draft class when talking about running backs. You're going to see a lot of big name guys fall into that second and that third round because you can still get that value. You can still get a really good running back in that second or third round or even fourth round. It's so deep. And like you said, there's just been this resurgence all of a sudden. It took a off season of guys being upset and Saquon being on Hard Knocks and then him having the season that he had for people to really start paying attention to how important the running back position is. So deep class. I want the Giants to definitely get another running back to pair up with Tyrone Tracy Jr. I just don't see them doing that in the first round. But there's going to be a lot of guys who are going to step on the field first game of the season, and people are like, "Who is this guy?" Now we can talk about the most talked about quarterback in this draft class. You mentioned that he may fall to the Steelers at 21. People are even saying he might fall out of the first round. Is there a Shador Sanders draft position bet out there, and what do you like about it?
So Shador Sanders is currently favored to be drafted by the Steelers pretty unanimously at this point. It's about plus 150, meaning there's about a 45% chance that he's drafted by the Steelers. Giants coming in at second there. If he fell to the second round, I suppose that the Giants, or I mean late first round, maybe the Giants could take a stab at Shador. But for me, I think that Shador His over draft prop, you can get it plus over 10.5 is minus 380. So, there's like a 75% chance that happens. But, nobody's really saying at this point that the New Orleans Saints are going to draft Shador Sanders with the ninth pick. Pretty much nobody's saying that. Actually, most mock drafters, Charlie Campbell, Peter Schrager, who just released mock drafts today, they have them taking Georgia linebacker Michael Williams, which is a plus 380 bet, which I actually really like. But for Shador, I'm going to go over 10.5 on the draft slot, minus 380. I don't really see him going in the top 10, I'll be honest. Obviously, it would require a trade up if the Saints don't do it. And for me, I think I like Shador personally. I think that he's one of a top 5 player in the draft, but it doesn't seem like anybody else is really that interested, and no mock drafters have it in the top 20. So, I think you're going to be looking at Shador at number 21 overall. And he even said he's like I'm going to use like the best team is the one that has DK Metcalf and George Pickens. He said that earlier today. So it seems like he has been given a nod by Mike Tomlin and the Steelers that that's where he's going to end up.
Richie putting some money in the people's pockets. That's why you're a man of the people. Appreciate you hopping on with us, my man.